Hello, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to work on a fun little project that I think you'll enjoy. So, spring is right around the corner. Tomorrow, we turn the clocks ahead. We're going to have longer days. And before you know it, we're going to be sitting in the backyard with some campfires or going camping and making fires or even backpacking. I'm not sure this project is practical for backpacking though, but so, what we're going to make are natural fire starters. They are super simple, really easy to make. Basically, we're going to use 1 cup of soy or beeswax, and that'll make about 6 fire starters, give or take, somewhere around there. And then you're going to need herbs of any kind, pine cones, sticks, leaves, bay leaves, anything that may add some fragrance to your fire starter, may make it look pretty, even though we're going to burn it up. They still look cool. And you'll see how we do that in a few moments. So I'm going to go and I'm going to melt my wax, and I will be back with you in a moment. Okay, I'm back, and I do need to apologize. I don't have the best camera set up here. I am not a professional at this, but you'll get the idea. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cupcake liners. I use these unbleached cupcake liners just because they look so natural, and I just like the way they look. So you can use absolutely any cupcake liner. And I'm just going to line my cupcake tin. Now, I will put a link to some of this stuff in the description, but, you can use any cupcake tin. I got this, I think, at the dollar store, the Dollar General, or somewhere. It's just a cheap, very cheap, because this is what I use it for. So, no need to get overly fancy about that, that's for sure. And so there we go. We've lined that. Now I've melted my wax, and so here I have my 1 cup of wax. All I'm going to do is divide that among these 6 cupcake liners, and you want to go like maybe a quarter of a halfway, because you don't want this to burn forever. You just want it to be able to start your kindling and get your fire going. So you don't want it to burn forever. So I do have a little bit left, but I'm going to save it in case I want to solidify what I'm putting in here. And I'm going to put that back on my little burner. And now we can pretty much do whatever we want. I've got a variety of things here, and I use these to make my fire starter, so they just always stay in these baggies. So this is some frankincense resin, and when you're dealing with resins, you're going to want to put those in first so that they sink to the bottom. So we'll just throw some of that in there. Now, the other thing is I'm going to try something new. I'm going to put a pine cone in this time, and I'll show you some of the ones that I've already completed. Again, there is no quote-unquote recipe for this. You could just put in whatever you want. So I'm going to pick one that's maybe a little fuller so that it really sinks in there. And then I'm going to try some dried pine. And I'm also going to try one with a little fresh pine, I think. I'm just going to tear some of these off. Throw those in there. And you can get fancy and you can get really creative and do whatever you want. Just so you're putting it in there. And as I said, I save these herbs just for this purpose so that, I'm not wasting my good herbs. Some of these herbs may have been a little older. And then that's a good use for them. So here's a couple of bay leaves. I'm going to throw those in there. The stuff that sticks out always looks the best. It just gives it a little extra flair. And I'm also going to put in, I think in 2 of these, I'm going to add a cinnamon stick. Let's throw some bay in there. So let's add a cinnamon stick to this one and a cinnamon stick to this one. And then you may want to wait a few minutes for this to start to cool down so that it starts to solidify. And in the meantime, I'm going to get some wicks ready. So I'm just cutting small pieces of candle wicks that I have on hand. So I'll need 6 of those. You need about, you might want to start with a fairly, like maybe, I don't know, a good 2-3 inches, and then you're going to snip it down. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut off the metal pieces that come when you're making candles, because I don't have any twine on hand, but twine is very nice to use as well. So, you know, basically what these do is just as they sound, you know, when you're trying to get that campfire going. And also these can be used in indoor fireplaces also. Not you know, like a pellet stove, but an indoor fireplace. You can use this to start the fire. So basically the idea is that you have your wick and you have your wax and your herbs, and this is going to burn long enough to get your kindling and your fire going good. It's the same concept as the old Boy Scout, you know, wax, egg carton, and dryer lint. It's the same thing, only they're prettier. So that's pretty much it. And I'm going to pause again until this solidifies a little bit. Actually, I'm not going to. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put this in. So let's see what we have here. I have, how about some calendula petals? We'll add that. That should make some pretty. Just add those in there. And they can all be different, so I don't want to make them all the same. Do a couple of them with some lavender. I'll put some lavender in the ones that don't have the cinnamon. Oops. Well, I just put it in the one with the cinnamon. Oh, well. It's just going to be starting a fire, so there's no wrong here. Nothing you can do wrong. Let's see. How about some rosemary? I have some rosemary here. And you can see this rosemary is a little older. You know, it's lost its color. And so we're not wasting any beautiful herbs here. Let's get some rosemary in there. Rosemary always smells good. I have a bunch of other stuff here. I have some spearmint, and I have some juniper berries, some elderflower, mugwort. Let's throw a little mugwort in there. It's getting a little fuzzy there. Which mugwort is like that to begin with once it's dried. So throw a couple of juniper berries in. I really like the addition of the pine cone. I hadn't tried that before because I thought it might be too big, but it actually looks quite lovely. Just make sure your pine cone is dry. You know, you don't want anything wet. Let's throw some juniper berries in there. I have some cardamom pods. It's taken, I guess I have it too warm in here today because it's taken a little while to solidify. Let's put some cardamom in there. You do definitely want it to get in the wax. If you don't get it far enough into the wax, you know, the herbs are not going to stay in there and they'll just be making a mess for you. So you definitely want to make sure they get covered. And, you know, that's pretty much it. As I said, you can add whatever you want to add, whatever you think looks pretty. And I'm just going to top these off now and use what little wax I have left. Let's make sure that pine cone stays in there. These all look okay. Okay, so one thing I also want to mention is that whenever you're dealing with melting wax of any kind, no matter the preparation, you want to take paper towels and wipe it out while it's melted, because that's really going to help you out with the cleanup. If you wipe that wax out of there now while it's in liquid form, you should be able to wash your whatever you've used to melt your wax should come clean very easily. Just make sure it's not too hot. So you want to get as much out as you possibly can so that it's not going down your drain. I think I'm catching a cold. So I've pretty much wiped that out. So now I'll just be able to wash it without any issue. And while we're waiting for that wax to solidify a little bit more so we can put the candle wick in, I just want to share with you this wonderful little thing, and I will put a link in the comments below. So this is what I use to melt my wax. It works beautifully. It does a quick job of it, and it came with this, and it came with the little pot, and it came with, oops, let me just set that down. It came with the long spoon, and sorry, I don't have it handy right now. It came with a silicone trivet, 2 candle holders, the candle wicks, 2 pounds of soy wax, and I'm not sure if there was anything else, but this is a great deal and it works beautifully. I love it. I used to use a double boiler. This makes it so much easier. Okay, so this is taking a little while, so I'm going to pause and I will be right back when it's time to get the wicks in there. Okay, I'm back. This isn't quite solidified, but it might be enough to get the candle wicks to stand up. And in the meantime, I had an epiphany to try some citronella oil in each of these, so I'm going to give that a shot. I've never tried that before. I'm just going to put like maybe 2 drops in each. Maybe we can help keep the campfire bugs away too. Just 2 drops. And you could put other essential oils in here also. Whatever works for you. Remember, we're just going to use these to start a campfire, so you can't go wrong with whatever you decide to do. Okay, so let's take the wicks, and we're just going to put them. They can really go anywhere. I mean, they don't have to be in the center. Like in this case, there's just no room for that. But you just want them to be, and it's okay if they're setting, because as long as the bottom is in there and it solidifies, we can bend it up so that it's useful after the fact. And that is it. Now we're just going to let these solidify. And these are some examples of some that I have from last time I made these. So you can see, you can also pop them out of here. But I leave them in the cupcake liners just because that's paper and that's going to burn too. So I just light it just as it is. And that is pretty much it. So these are going to solidify, and when it does, of course, the wax is going to turn white, and then I will store it away for camping. Hello, I'm back. I wanted to give you a look at the final product. So here's what we had from what we made, and you can see that the wicks are pretty solid now, and I could see I could have added a little more herbs there if I wanted to, But again, these are just fire starters. But you can see how cute you can make them. So that is it. And I hope you enjoyed this little project, and be well. Many blessings, and I'll talk to you next time.